My name is Madara Uchiha, and today I am surrounded by 20 people who oppose the infinite Tsukuyomi. My first claim is that the world you defend calls suffering reality and expects people to praise it as strength. I reject that lie. The infinite Tsukuyomi is the only path to peace because it ends the cycle of pain at its root.
The infinite Tsukuyomi is not peace. It is surrender dressed up as salvation. I know this world is brutal. That is exactly why peace must be built in reality. Through law, institutions, restraint, and hard choices. Human beings do not become better by being buried in a dream. They become helpless. A system that survives only by stripping away will, truth, and struggle is not stable. It is a prison. You say you are ending pain at its root, but the root is not reality itself. It is human weakness, obsession, and the refusal to confront truth. Your answer is not to heal the world, but to smother it. If your peace requires every person to be trapped in a lie, what exactly are you saving besides your own despair? A false world ruled by one man's delusion is not peace, Madara. It is tyranny with closed eyes.
Tobirama, your faith in law and institutions is just a cleaner name for the same failed reality. You do not end suffering. You organize it, regulate it, and pretend control is peace. You speak like a man who trusts systems because he helped build them, but every village, every alliance, every rule, and every treaty still produced fear, suspicion, revenge, and war. Your hard choices are only proof that reality demands cruelty to survive. You call my world a prison because freedom is removed, but your world has made prisoners of children, clans, soldiers, and the dead long before I cast any dream. You say the root is human weakness. Exactly. And the infinite Tsukuyomi removes humanity from the reach of its own weakness. Your solution depends on weak people becoming wise. Mine does not. If your institutions are the answer, why did the world they created still need endless war to function? You call my peace tyranny because you cannot admit your reality is already a prison.
You mistake discipline for failure, Madara. Institutions do not promise a world without suffering. They prevent one man's despair from enslaving everyone. And that is the difference between flawed peace and absolute madness. War persists because humans are imperfect, but your answer is to erase choice itself, which proves you cannot govern reality, only flee it. So tell me, if mankind must be caged to be harmless, what value is the peace you claim to protect? Your dream is not liberation, it is surrender.
You call it discipline because you need a noble word for managed suffering, Tobirama. But a world that merely limits war while accepting its return has already confessed defeat. Your institutions do not cure human imperfection. They preserve it behind laws, ranks, borders, and graves. Then demand praise for slowing the bleeding instead of ending the wound. You accuse me of fleeing reality, yet you are the one clinging to a system that needs children to inherit conflict, so men like you can call restraint progress. If mankind must keep its freedom only to repeat hatred, betrayal, and war, then that freedom has no sacred value beyond pride. The peace I protect has value because it finally removes humanity from the reach of its own corruption. Tell me, Tobirama, what worth is choice when history proves it chooses suffering again and again? Your peace is not discipline. It is failure made respectable.
Your mistake is treating human imperfection as proof that humanity itself must be abolished. When the real duty of leadership is not to erase choice, but to build order strong enough to restrain our worst impulses without murdering the human spirit. You call limited peace failure only because you demand perfection, and that is exactly why your solution is irrational. Any peace that survives only by drowning the world in illusion is not peace, but permanent surrender. So answer this. If a person cannot choose, struggle, or live in truth, by what right do you call that world worth saving? Your dream does not end corruption. It ends mankind.
Madara, your claim is false because ending pain by stealing every will in the world is not peace, but conquest. And I know better than most how tempting it is to dream of a world without loss. Yet I built the village with open hands because people must choose to trust each other for peace to become real. You say I defend suffering, but what I defend is the right of living people to face reality, change it, and surpass the hatred we inherited instead of being buried inside your perfect illusion. So tell me, if your peace requires every human soul to be bound beneath your eye, how are you any different from the warlords who treated children like tools? A dream forced on the world is still a prison, and I will not call a prison peace.
Hashirama, you still speak as if your village proved your dream correct, when it proved the opposite. Even the peace you built with open hands became a system that trained children for war, divided nations by power, and turned trust into another fragile treaty waiting to break. You call my answer conquest because you cannot accept that your answer failed gently, with kind words and noble intentions, while still feeding the same cycle. I do not deny that the infinite Tsukuyomi binds human will. I deny that human will has earned the right to keep producing suffering and calling it growth. You ask how I differ from warlords who used children as tools. I would end the world that makes such tools necessary. Tell me, Hashirama, if your real peace was so strong, why did it need to be protected by endless conflict? Your dream became another battlefield. Mine ends the need for battle itself.
Madara, my dream failed where men were too weak to keep choosing trust. But your dream fails before it begins, because it decides no one deserves the chance to choose at all. And that is not correcting my village's sins, but making yourself the final shinobi system above every nation, every child, and every future. You say human will has not earned its freedom, yet you appoint your own wounded will as judge over the entire world. So do not pretend you are ending the age of tools when you would turn every living soul into one tool for your despair. If peace must be protected by conflict, that proves peace is difficult, not worthless. So tell me, Madara, when did you stop trying to change the world with people and decide the only answer was to erase them beneath yourself? My dream can be betrayed because it is alive, but yours cannot be betrayed only because nothing living remains free enough to reject it.
Your dream can be betrayed because it is weak, Hashirama. Mine cannot be betrayed because it finally ends the weakness that makes betrayal possible. How many children must inherit your difficult peace before you admit that a dream which survives only by feeding on sacrifice is just another war wearing your smile?
No child should inherit war, Madara. But the answer to children being sacrificed is not to sacrifice the will of every child forever. And your peace does not end betrayal through strength, but by murdering the very freedom that makes trust, love, forgiveness, and growth meaningful. You ask how many sacrifices my dream can bear, but I ask why your dream begins by making all humanity its sacrifice. Because a world that cannot choose peace has not been saved, only silenced. I will keep fighting for a flawed reality that can heal over a perfect lie that cannot live.
The infinite Tsukuyomi is not peace, but surrender. I once called pain reality, and tried to bury the world inside a dream, because I was too broken to face what I had lost. But a dream that removes choice does not heal people, it only freezes them. You say you are ending pain at its root, but you are really ending the human will that lets people rise after pain. If your peace is so true, why must every living soul be forced into it without consent? I followed your path once, and all it created was a corpse wearing the mask of salvation.
You mistake regret for enlightenment. You abandoned the truth because Naruto gave your pain a prettier name, not because reality became any less cruel. You say the dream freezes people, but reality has done worse. It breaks them, uses them, buries what they love, then demands they rise again as if survival were proof of meaning. Consent is a fragile excuse in a world where no child consents to war, loss, betrayal, or the cruelty they inherit at birth. You followed my path because you saw the world clearly once, before sentiment dragged you back into the same cycle that destroyed you. Tell me, if human will is so sacred, why did yours lead you to despair, masks, manipulation, and war? You did not escape illusion. You simply chose the crueler one.
Madara, my will led me into despair, because I let grief rot into hatred, not because will itself is worthless. I know better than anyone how cruel reality is, because I helped make it worse while hiding behind your dream. But that is exactly why I reject you now. Pain can twist a man, but stealing every soul's freedom guarantees they never get the chance to become anything beyond their wound. You call consent fragile, because children do not choose suffering. Yet your answer is to make sure no one chooses anything ever again. So tell me, if reality is the crueler illusion, why did you need lies, corpses, manipulation, and my broken heart to sell your truth? I was wrong when I followed you, and I will not mistake a perfect prison for peace twice.
You speak as though confession cleanses consequence. But regret does not make your new faith stronger than the despair that once exposed reality to you. You say pain can twist a man, then defend a world that keeps twisting men, and hoping a few untangle themselves before the next war begins. My methods used.
If the infinite Tsukuyomi is truly peace, and not just your fear wearing the name of salvation, why do you need to rob every living person of the right to refuse it?
Because the right to refuse has never protected humanity from suffering, Obito. It has only protected the same freedom that lets people choose hatred, revenge, betrayal, and war again and again. You speak of refusal as if every soul enters this world untouched and equal. But reality never asks permission before it breaks people, takes what they love, or turns children into weapons. I do not rob humanity of a sacred gift. I remove the poison it keeps mistaking for dignity. If a drowning world refuses the hand that would pull it from the abyss, its refusal is not wisdom. It is panic, pride, and attachment to pain. Peace that waits for every broken heart to agree will never arrive. I will not let mankind's sickness veto its own salvation.
You are not saving mankind. You are making the whole world kneel inside your wound.
Peace built by stealing every heart's choice is not peace. It is a prison made to look gentle, because suffering is not what makes reality precious. Love, courage, and the bonds we choose despite suffering are. Your dream does not end pain at its root. It only buries every living soul beneath a beautiful lie where no one can truly reach, change, forgive, or love another. So if your world is so merciful, why must it begin by forcing everyone into it against their will? A happiness that cannot be refused is not salvation. It is surrender.
Who are you, stranger, to speak so confidently of bonds, when every bond in this world is a doorway for loss?
I am someone who was once too afraid to stand beside the people I loved, and I still learned that a bond's risk of loss does not make it worthless. It makes it real.
You call my peace a prison, but reality is the prison that makes love fragile, courage costly, and forgiveness rare. Choice has not saved humanity, it has armed hatred with permission. The infinite Tsukuyomi must be forced, because a broken world will always cling to the very pain that shaped it. Tell me, what value is freedom if it only gives people the power to destroy what they love? Your precious reality is just suffering with prettier words.
Freedom has value because love without the chance to choose it is only an image wearing love's face. And even if reality makes courage costly and forgiveness rare, those things matter precisely because people reach for them by their own will.
Then you admit it. Your entire truth depends on risk, loss, and the hope that pain will somehow make love meaningful. I reject that bargain. A love that must be threatened to feel real is a cruel design, not a sacred one. You praise choice because you survived your fear. Others are crushed by theirs. Tell me, how many broken hearts are acceptable payment for your real bonds? You defend a world that makes love suffer to prove itself. I would free it from that weakness.
None are acceptable, but they are still human hearts, not yours to erase, and love does not need pain to prove itself. It needs freedom, truth, and the will to reach someone even when fear exists. Your dream does not heal the brokenhearted, it steals the heart that could heal. So if you must kill every real bond to protect love from suffering, then you never understood love at all.